Hey everyone, what is up? Nicholas Buckwell here, back to another video. And yeah, today I wanted to start with something very fun and special before I begin this upcoming video. Now, I want to announce some other projects I'm currently working on. You already know I'm working on the Smallville fan film, but I'm not just working on that fan film. Of course, I'm not just working on that. I am also working on a another Power Rangers fan film short that is coming out, which is the Jungle Fury fan film reunion to Jungle Fury. Basically, it's more of a continuation taking place years later after the events of the show / season of Jungle Fury. Jungle Fury, by far one of my favorite seasons, and I really wanted to make a fan series based on that. And yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to finish that. It is almost done. The Jungle Fury fan film short is almost done. The problem that I have with that is that I need to make the morphers and all that. The solar morphers, which are basically just the sunglasses. Although some are having problems with making their solar morphers. I'm just making mine for I'm having a problem with that. And here's what it looks like so far, along with some of their friends. But but in other words, the film is still going on. It's still going very good. Still trying to film some scenes and all that. Meanwhile, I'm working on the Jungle Fury fan film. But yeah, it's coming up, and I'm going to release it sometime around sometime around October, as a Halloween sort of. I got some other things in mind for horror films for Halloween. Like I got this upcoming horror film called Movie Night, but I don't want to give it away too much. But this was just an idea that I really wanted to make, about this kid. He walks into the movie theater, and basically he sees this really scary movie that I'm still trying to work on the idea. I'm hoping that will be executed very well. I know that. In the meantime, I'm also working with some. I'm also working on another. I'm also working on another Marvel fan film short that is related to Marvel's Wasteland Episode 1. I'm going to be working on Episode 2. I've already told that I was going to work on Episode 2, and that is going to be focusing on Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, which people assumed that he was dead. In the first episode, well, Spider-Man assumed that he was dead, but it turns out that he's still somewhat alive somewhere, and he's still there and all that, but he's just, laying around. Maybe he got wasted or something. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to, get that film done on time. I am hoping to, get a schedule, work on the gauntlets and all that, all with the armor. Maybe try something else other than the armor, but so far, I'm going to be trying to I'm going to get you more into the details a little later. I'm also working on another fan film, which is Ahsoka and Jubilee short. It's basically going to be animated. It's going to be animated, but we already got some voice acting done. I'm still working on the editing processing. I've already done the animation, animatic animation, because this is a pilot for some type of series I'm trying to pitch in or something like that. But we are trying to get that. So I will keep you guys posted to see how that is going as well. Maybe try to give you guys a release date or something. It is almost done. I'm still having a problem with the release date and all that. Meanwhile, I'm trying to work on the Jungle Fury fan film. I'm trying to get more and more of the editing process done on time, not just with the visuals, but also with more and more editing, trying to make it a little more longer than expected. There are some other upcoming Marvel fan films, both animated and live action, that I'm trying to get into the works. But so far so good. I think we're doing okay. There's also another Power Rangers fan film I'm working on with my friend at Red Ranger Peru. You guys may have remember him from the Dimension Danger Red Ranger fan film that I'm that I've been working on, and yeah, I'm getting him back. We are getting back to work on another, and it's gonna be like a what if based on like the Marvel's What If animated series on Disney Plus, but with Power Rangers a little bit. And I'm also working on some Marvel What If fan films as well with my friend Noah Green. Also with the Marvel's What If. It's not just Marvel's What If, but it's also on What If on DC Star Wars, and Power Rangers as well. So much more from that. So much more with other franchises and all that. Yeah, so far so good. We are working on the script very well. We are still working on the script currently at this point for a What If fan film. We are getting that. We are getting that on time. So yeah, I think we are getting that on time. But we're trying to keep posted. So yeah, it won't be just live action, but it'll also be animated as well. It'll have. We're gonna try to see what type of animation styles we can, try to keep, not just with my animation style, but also trying different new animation styles as well, or trying something to do a little bit with live action, and so on and so forth. And yeah, and these are pretty exciting projects I'm ready to work on with these Marvel fan films, like with the What If fan films, these Marvel What If fan films, these Power Rangers What If fan films I'm going to try to work on, including with some other franchises like Star Wars and all that, etc. I'm going to try to get those done on time as well. But yeah, they could be canceled, they could be delayed, so much more. And then another is the iBionicle movie. Now you're probably wondering, where is the iBionicle movie? I thought you said you were going to release it until the summer, but I already told you that it was originally supposed to be released over the summer, but due to some scheduling conflicts, due to some other things that happened going on recently with family and stuff, I decided to delay it for a little while. I decided to delay for a little while so I can delay it until next year. I decided to delay it until sometime later this year or sometime later next year, so I can keep focusing on some other stuff. I won't be that much active on YouTube. I will still be active on YouTube, but just that I have to finish some things at college. I have some other personal things I have to do as well outside of YouTube. But yeah, I really enjoy keep making films for you guys, but also doing some things spare time outside of filmmaking, like with showing how to draw videos, showing some behind the scenes vlog and what I do and all that. Also me just having fun, also reacting to some videos and all that, and so on and so forth. And yeah, but yeah, that is all that I have something to say. I'm sorry that this is a little long, but I wanted to keep you guys, posted, keep you on the loop. Yeah, I will talk about that I will talk about more of these updates in a little bit, for some future videos and all that. For the Jungle Fear fan film, it's almost done, and it will be released sometime around September, maybe on my birthday, September 27th, which is next week, or something like that. But I'm trying to keep some post-credit scenes and all that. I have some post-credit scenes I'm still working on for that. I'm trying to rewritten some of them, almost done with this one, trying to rewrite some, but also trying to edit a little bit, so on and so forth. And yeah, so you guys like superhero movies? Oh wait, why did I just say that? Everyone does like superhero movies. I mean, superhero movies are basically like the mainstay, most like they were back then from the 70s and 80s, but then they go downfall hill with Batman and Robin and all that. But yeah, to keep that summary short, everyone does like superhero movies. And since that there are some superhero movies that have been coming out recently, I decided to take a look back on this other old superhero movie, this underrated superhero movie that was made by Disney, and that it's so interesting and underrated that I actually really want to talk about. And that movie is Sky High. I actually remember watching the trailers growing up, and I found that the trailers were interesting, but yet weird. As a kid, I didn't really care, but I did find it to be very weird. And I ended up watching a few clips of it, but I decided to just skip it because I found it to be very weird. But then again, I rewatched this movie out of curiosity after when I heard it on Mojang.com, hearing about how good it really is. And I ended up rewatching this movie on Disney Plus back from a few weeks ago. And so I decided to take a look into it deep in it. So, what is so good about this movie? Well, before we get into that, let's get into the plot. The plot basically focuses around by a kid by the name of Will Strongarm, who is basically the son of the commander and the elite unit Strongarm. I forgot her name. Where basically he's attending a high school, but not just any ordinary high school, but it's a special high school known as Sky High. Which is basically like the X Mansion or Hogwarts School of Witchcraft Wizardry, but with superheroes, and not just with any other superheroes and all that. But yeah, it's basically kind of like Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, but a little more different from Xavier's School from Gifted Youngsters. Where in the school, it has a little different labels, where basically if you have superpowers, if you have like these really cool, unique superpowers, you're a hero. But if you have like these lame superhero powers, or if you don't have any powers at all, then you're a sidekick. Although until one day he gets in trouble with another kid by the name of War and Peace, played by Story Pierrot, as basically he does beat him with finding out that he has superpowers, that he's got super strength, and all that and so forth. And along the way, a villainous plot happens, in which I dare not to spoil. But yeah, what makes this movie really good is that it tries something that is a little new. It tries something that some superhero movies at the time, like X-Men, Blade, and Spider-Man were, they were just trying a little bit more of the same little thing. But then again, this movie doesn't try to be like basically just being a parody of superhero movies, or just trying to being a cash grab for superhero movies. It doesn't really do that. It does a really great job with trying to be not just your ordinary regular superhero movie, but trying to be more like a high school Harry Potter type film. That I feel like that this should be expanded more often with superhero movies, trying to make it look more awesomer than I thought, since now's the best time for that. But anyways, it does a really great job with the high school setting for kids who have these really cool powers, or for kids who are not just for kids who have lame powers and all that. But this movie actually does a really great job with setting up the high school setting. Also, it does a really great job with expanding more on this character Will, in which he basically is just your average ordinary kid, in that he doesn't really think of himself as a hero. Not at first. He doesn't think of himself as a hero. He doesn't think of himself as being the cool kid in school. Better yet, but yeah. And so far, yeah. But they did a really great job explaining more about him and all that, including with the powers that he has, like how his powers, they've been delayed and all that for kicking in, but they could have explored that much better with the powers and all that. But with the writing does a really great job, and the directing is pretty good. The cinematography is pretty amazing, and definitely looks like a comic book coming to life. And with the comic book art style in the movie during the opening and the ending, it's pretty good, and it actually does fit very well through the movie. With this movie being more like a comic book, the costume designs are pretty amazing. With the commander's costume being more like the costume from of that other superhero from that Netflix show known as Jupiter's Legacy. It does a really great job with that. Also, it does a really great job with exploring more of the other different label settings of the superhero high school. Like, if you got these really unique powers, you're a hero. But if you have these really lame powers or don't have any powers at all, then you're a sidekick. And which the sidekick part, I really wish that we could have explored a little bit more, but they did a really great job exploring the sidekick part more and all that. I mean, there are like really good directions here, like from Mike Mitchell, who is basically known for directing animated films like Trolls and the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Yeah, but he does a really great job being the director here, and you can tell that he does really care for these characters and for this universe so far. And it's a shame that he never really got that much to do any other good films after this. I mean, the Lego Movie 2, despite being really good, it is not as good as the first movie. But it's a shame that he never got to do any other good films after this movie. And it's a shame that Disney did not give it that much of a recognition it deserves. But I also really like about how they explore some other characters a little more, like Warren, for example, Warren Peace. Basically, what people expect him in the movie when we first get to see him, he's basically just the arch nemesis of Will Strongarm because his dad is a supervillain and that Will's dad, the commander, locked him up, and so on, and yeah. But outside of that, he just seemed to be like a regular, ordinary, nice guy. He just seems like a nice guy, and he's basically just doing this because that's what people expect him to be. He expect him to be a villain, an arch nemesis, and all that type of stuff. An arch nemesis to this guy, Will Strongarm. If I'm saying that right. I also really like the relationship between Will and Lila. They did a really amazing job with the writing with these two characters, and despite Disney not doing that much of a really good job writing teen films, they do give the best performance that it can ever be released. Now, even though that the love story between Lila and Will, and the love triangle between that girl and who is the villain later on, and also this Will and Lila, it's pretty amazing. It's actually written very well. Is written very well. The comedy is pretty good. The comedy is pretty good, and with the CGI visuals, they are pretty amazing. Sure, despite being dated and that they're not perfect, it still is pretty good. And they showed some really awesome, unique powers and all that. And so on and so forth. And yeah, I mean, wow, that was very cool to see, people showing their powers or their skills and all that. And I also really like the message about how, being a hero does not mean that you have the cool powers, you have the costumes, and you have the skills or the gadgets or all that. But basically, it's the person that is defined to be the hero. I mean, they did a really good job with the message. The message is pretty amazing. Sure, despite that it's a little obvious, it's still entertaining in some other way. The comedy, pretty good. The characters are really likable. But one of my favorite characters in the movie is Warren Peace. I mean, we just see him as the villain the arch nemesis to Will Stronghold. But then when we see him again, he's just a very nice guy. He's just basically playing this thing out because that is what expected from people. Because yeah, but outside of that, he's just a nice guy. So yeah. Meanwhile with that, yeah, everything is pretty good. I really like the great performances, not just with the teens, but also with the really great adult figures as well, like with Kurt Russell, Bruce Campbell, Kevin McDonald, and Linda Carter, Wonder Woman herself, making an appearance in this movie and playing the female Xavier, or the Professor Dumbledore version of Sky High, the principal, playing the awesome principal, and even making some and even making some references to Wonder Woman. Linda Carter, Wonder Woman herself, best performance I've seen, does a really great job with that. Also trying to be a parody of DC and Marvel and so on, with other superhero movies that happen released around the time. Although there are some flaws with this movie that I really wish could have done much better. The problem is that I really wish that they could have explored a little bit more with the sidekick segment, and with it trying to, with the comedy doing a little bit more better, or that the side characters should have been way more better than expected, and that you kind of feel like that they are really awesome villains, or that the costume designs. Now, don't get me wrong, the costume designs, they are actually pretty good, but despite that, with the villain Royal Pain, her suit looks more like a Power Ranger suit rather than an actual villain suit, but otherwise it's still pretty good. But I really wish that they could have done much better, putting a little more effort into it. And with the action, I really wish that we could have seen more of the action as well, given a little bit more. But otherwise, it is still a pretty good movie. It is still pretty fun to watch. I highly recommend it if you're interested. It's a shame that Mike Mitchell never really got that. Mike Mitchell, the director of this movie, never really directed another good film like this again. Since he's known for making a bunch of letdown films like Trolls and the Lego Movie 2. But yeah, hopefully he can get back to try to direct more and more films like this at some point in the future. But yeah, it's a shame that this movie did not gain as much recognition as it needed, and that Disney did not give it that much recognition. Despite that, it didn't make much money at the box office until years later. It gained a small until years later after its release, it gained a small following with memes and all that. But yeah, so that's basically Sky High. What do you guys think about it? Do you like it? Did you hate it? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.